How's everyone? Oh, you sound wide awake. You just not very tired throughout the day. Have you adjusted to the time yet? Oh, you haven't. Beloved brethren, of course, I'm sure that many of you, we know each other from time past, before the district got cut into so many parts and pieces and things of that nature. But just in case you don't know me, I'm Brother Greg Worthen. I'm one of the faculty members here in the School for Ministers. And I used to be assigned in different places throughout. The outcome is this: what they want, what a parent wants for their child, for their children, is for them to be successful. What a parent wants is for their children to have more than they had, to have more opportunities than they ever been a booklet member. So you may not be able to fully fathom or understand what your parents are thinking or why they're doing the things that they do. But the time will come that you will. You will understand why they were why they implemented so strictly the discipline within the home. Why they would continuously teach you and remind you of the things that you had to accomplish or fulfill. Why? Because that is what God is requiring of them. And for what purpose? So that we won't be a disobedient people. So that we will not receive God's punishment or His curse, but rather be able to receive of His blessings. Isn't that what the messenger of God also wanted? Because remember, beloved brethren, it's not only about your future. It's about the church's future, and you're the church's future. Everywhere you go in this world, no matter, they will teach you and advise you and discipline you. Thank you so much, beloved brethren, for your time. And lastly, on a personal note, beloved brethren, it really is on our part as ministers who have been assigned abroad, who have seen you in your younger years, okay? But the fact that you're still strong speaks volumes for us. And it really means a lot to us. It really makes it easier for us, knowing that the sacrifices that we've made together, when we were together, serving together, or whoever the minister was helping you, leading you, guiding you, it really touches us in special ways by which we would know that, you know, all those times that we had those meetings and the admonitions and all those things that we did, it worked. Because now we see the fruition of that labor. That's the same fruition of labor that the messenger of God had done as well. That's the same fruition of labor that the church administration continues to strive for. So that our generation and generations upon generations after us, through the effective leadership of our beloved executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, will ensure the church's victorious success as we move onward to the perfection of our faith. Congratulations to you, beloved brethren. And thank you for making our duty easier to fulfill. Thank you very much.
So we'll go ahead and tackle on the next portion, which is the symposium aspect. Ground rules again. We want you to engage. Be interactive. The presenter will try and engage with each of you, but that can only go as far as how much you put into it. So we're hoping we only got another maybe 45 minutes left before we close out, and this will be closing out our day. So we know that let's give it our all, because we got some good information that's coming your way. Our next speaker comes all the way from California, Orange County. She is an administrator and is part. Warm welcome to Sister Jennifer Veneration.
I think you forgot one thing, Brother Billy. You think you forgot leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now we're ready to start. It's been a long time coming. I've been preparing for this for a while, and the thing about talking about parent and child relationships is that if you go to the bookstore, there is probably one whole wall full of books about how to be a parent. A full wall. If you went on Amazon, you'd get thousands and thousands of books on how to be a parent. So I started looking up, but you're not parents, so I'm not going to talk to you in that way, but I started looking up how to be a child to your parents. And there are not that many things. So in approaching that are important to me, I want to introduce you to my children. This is them, if this works. Next slide, please. Oh, there they are. At least two, right? At least two. So in a relationship, whose opinion matters? Both. Whose needs need to be met? Both. So let's get started. You just go to the next slide. Oh, thank you. Okay, so there is an American psychologist. Her name is Diane Baumrind, and she came up with these theories of parenting styles. She started off with 3 and then added a 4. And these parenting styles revolve around 2 things. One of them is control, how much control you need to have or you feel like you have to have over your child. And the other, permissive and authoritarian. Okay, we'll go over those fairly quickly. They're like, well, that's how my mom did it, right? Or sometimes they're like, I don't do it that way because that's how my mom did it, right? And low warmth, low responsiveness. They neglect either your physical or emotional needs because sometimes, a lot of the times they're emotionally distant, so it could hurt you want. But high in responsiveness, high in warmth might happen if your parents are this way, okay? Usually kids turn out and they're impulsive. It's hard for them to make this. They demand blind obedience. They'll say like, oh, because it's not just pride keeping you from taking that good advice, okay? Maybe you met someone last night, and now you're in love. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is before you even enter the conversation, because sometimes what happens is you're so high, your emotion is so high, and then you jump right into the conversation, and now it's going everywhere. Okay, so before you enter, so the X is the facts. I met this, I'm thinking about getting married. Okay, why? It makes me feel nervous. Be something we can talk about. Okay? Not, I want you to say yes. I think you should do this. You're just opening the channel so that you communicate. So the X is the fact. The Y is how that made you feel. The Z is, can we have this conversation? We're going to practice empathic listening. So you're going to be the most patient in listening, because chances are what you had to say to them was hard for them to hear. Okay? So when you do empathic listening, you want to listen without thinking of a response. Sometimes I'm already thinking like, ooh, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say something really good, right? Or I'm thinking, oh, that's wrong. Let me change the way he's thinking, right? So as I'm doing that in my head as he's talking, then I'm not really listening, right? Because when people are talking, usually there's like a theme, or usually there's something behind there that you can kind of pick out. Oh, I get it. They don't think that I'm ready because blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you're going to practice that. All right? That's something you can try to take back right away. Practice it with your friends. I'm running out of time. So, relationships with your parents. Number 1, spend some quality time with them. Hang out with them. Go to the movies with them. Take them to dinner. Pay for their dinner. You know, take them out. Talk to them about not something you want or something you need. Just talk to them. okay? They have lots to say and lots of advice. Number 2, be present. Put your phone down. Talk to them. And just be in the moment. Number 3, when you plan for your future, think about your parents. When I was gonna get married, it was always a thing. We had a plan. After we get married, when we get settled, Mom is gonna move in with us. When your parents are sick, this is if they get sick or if something happens to one of them, this is what we're going to do. They're always, always, always in your plan. Okay? And then the last one is always assume positive intent. This could go for lots of things, but you want to assume that they want the best for you, and that will help change your mindset. Okay, so I'm going to close. I'm an elementary school teacher, so I'm going to close reading a book, and it's called Love You Forever. Here we go. A mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." The baby grew. He grew and grew and grew. He grew until he was 2 years old, and he ran all around the house. He pulled all the books off the shelves, he pulled all the food out of the refrigerator, and he took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, "This kid is driving me crazy." But at nighttime, when that 2-year-old was quiet, she opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of his bed, and if he was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." The little boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 9 years old, and he never wanted to come home for dinner. He never wanted to take a bath. And when his grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. If he was really asleep, she picked up that 9-year-old boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always." The boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends, and he wore strange clothes, and he listened to strange music. Sometimes his mother felt like he was in the zoo. But at nighttime, when that teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room and crawled across the floor, rocked him back and forth, and while she rocked him, she sang. That teenager grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown-up man. He left home and got a house across town. But sometimes, next slide, on dark nights, the mother got in her car and drove across town. There's a ladder on top of her car. I totally would do this. If all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. If that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang. Well, that mother, she got older. She got older and older and older. One day she called up her son and said, "You'd better come see me because I'm very old and sick." So her son came to see her. When he came in the door, she tried to sing the song. She said, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always." But she couldn't finish because she was too old and too sick. The son went to his mother. He picked her up and rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he sang this song. I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. When the son came home that night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. Then he went into the room where his very new baby daughter was sleeping. He picked her up in his arms and very slowly rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Brethren, it will not be long before you will sit in my shoes and will have children of your own. And it won't be long. It will feel fast, where even us, my generation will be gone and they will be going to you asking for advice. So teach them to love their parents just like you love yours. And show our young children, children like my children, how important it is. Thank you.
Round of applause to Sir Jennifer Generation. So, brethren, in closing, you can see how we've kind of made a full circle now. We've gone to 3 different symposiums. This was our last one. It only becomes as impactful as what you do with the information now that's been shared. Because we all have a choice now. Each of you have a choice of what you're going to do with all this information you just received. You can choose to have listened to it, goes in one ear and out the other. Some will choose to actually try and put it into practice, but then there's that next step. Empowering others with the information that you've just now gained, so that you can become part of that process. And you've seen that running thread, or that continuity between each of the presentations. They always closed with, so you can use this to help those when you go back. But it starts with you. It starts with us. Because it's true, many of those who spoke today were sitting in your shoes not too many years ago. And that's the only thing that drives us to fly halfway around the world. Many of us leave our kids behind, professional work and lives, because there's an end goal that we want. It wasn't for us to want to come to the Philippines and see this part of vacation. The drive that made us all do what we're doing now is because we want to share this information with you, hoping that it will be as impactful as it was once when we heard it, that it made a difference. It created a group of leaders, a movement that would hopefully share that information with all of you. And I use this example as a P&K teacher all the time. The discipline that we learned growing up to become the active members we are today started where? It wasn't when we became Kadiwa or Buklod. How you are in CWS trains you to be what type of officer? Binhi officers. How you're groomed in the Binhi will determine how well of a Kadiwa officer you'll be. Within the Kadiwa, it will show what type of healthy family relationships will be evolved and created in the Buklod. And that whole vicious cycle starts all over again when the Buklod have children It starts at the beginning. So it has to start somewhere. Because if a generation lapse where the information isn't shared and the leaders don't do their due diligence to become impactful to you, then we failed. We didn't do our job. Because what we've now set up is when you become buklod, and you have your children, what will be the future of the church? That's how important each of you are. So yes, we came here because we want to learn more about the church. We want to see our heritage. But these symposiums are real. They're reality. Look at the information we've been discussing. Look how much it impacts each and every one of you, not just physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And then understanding the why and the end result purpose, which is to strike a change. It's to make a movement that when you get older, you can say your kids, ones that you will have, will be taken care of. Because that's what I think about day in and day out. I have a 2-year-old. I have a 7-year-old. And I know I'm not going to live forever. I can only do so much that's within my grasp or reach of how I'd like to raise them. But what happens when what's going to happen to the faith of my kids? I'm looking to you. I'm looking to each and every one of you to protect their faith. That's all we got. Your grandparents will be gone. We will be gone. So I have to know, I have to feel deep down inside that someone is being left behind to make sure they stay in the church. That you're going to take care of them. They're going to remain active, that they're going to know what it means to be a Church of Christ member. And when they face these problems, mental, physical, spiritual problems, there's an officer waiting for them. Kadiwa, Dinhi, CWS. Someone will want to care for them. That's all we can do. That's all we can pray for. And that's why we do this. That's why it's important that each of you really listen and care about this stuff. So when you go back to your congregations and you see those young kids, and you see your Binhi Kadiwa officers, and they're going down a route that you know is not the right way, you're going to act. You're going to care. Because sometimes it's tiring, brethren. I'm a head deacon in my local. I'm in the district. I have a family of my own. It can become exhausting at times. But what drives you is you're going to have to want it. You have to care enough about the future of not these kids, but of the church. If you have that in mind, you'll dig it out of yourself to make sure that they're well cared for. If it means killing yourself to make sure that these kids are on the right track, that's what you have to be keeping in mind. That's the faith that you don't have to choose to have, you need to have. If it's not there yet, then we have to work together to get there. Because there is no other option. We depend on you for the future of this church. And you see how fast it's going. So fast. Which means you know the end is so close. It's so near. You need to jump on the bandwagon, brethren. You need to take charge, take control, and make an impact. Become these people who care. And I guarantee you, 120%. If you keep that in mind, with that faith, your family will be taken care of. your well-being, your safety, financially, future, and whatever problems come your way, guess who's going to fix it? Guess who's going to fix your problems? Because you're looking after the church. You're looking after his children. So remember that when times get hard and when it gets tough, deep down deep, and remember, you make that sacrifice, God never forgets. And he pours his blessings tenfold. Never forget that. That's it. So thank you guys for your symposium, for all these. What we're going to do now, brethren, is give you reminders. It's almost 7 o'clock. We want to get back to the bunkhouses. You want to make sure that we go directly down. We've already summoned for the buses. We're going to get you back to the arena. Your dinner is going to be a grab and take it back to your room. I believe they prepared Jollibees again. Yes. We need you all to rest because your call time in the morning, little drummer boys, they're going to be coming around 1 o'clock. They're coming at 1 o'clock because we need you up by 1:30. We're going to be rolling out, literally, whether you're on that bus or not, we are rolling by 3. So you need to be down by your buses by 2:30. We need to be rolling by 3. We need to be at, 2:30. 2:30. We need to be rolling by 2:30 because we need to be there by 3. And we need to be unloaded by 3:20, 3:30 in the holding area that they will be boarding with us. Your tickets or your badges, ribbons for tomorrow will be distributed by your chaperone in your bus. And that's important. It's not like in California, if you don't have a ribbon and it accidentally fell off, they'll let you in still. Brethren, here, if you don't have it, doesn't matter who you are, you will not be attending that service. They're going to look for 2 forms of identification. You need to have your badge on, you need to have the ribbon on. So please make sure those 2 things, and that's why we're stressing. If the bus leaves you, the bus leaves you. Remember what service we're going to tomorrow. So it's not just preparing ourselves, our clothes, we need to attend worship service, but you need to think and prepare spiritually, brethren, for this service. This is a very special opportunity that the administration really fought hard to give each of you as delegates. Don't waste this privilege to maybe someone else who wanted it more. Because we are taking seats now from other brethren. Make it count. Prepare yourself spiritually. When you go in, let's meditate right away. Remember where we are. Thank him why we're here. Any questions before we go?